Hi, Mr. Julius Omware. How are you today?
Good, I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much that you have given us time today. I know you're a very busy, occupied person in your, routine. And mashallah, even it's COVID, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. But Mr. Julius Omware, touch wood, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, he's very busy because the clients trust him a lot, and in the past I have worked with you also, you remember,
Right.
as a consultant, as an assistant. So thank you so much for your training also. Till
Thank you.
today, I remember those things what you taught me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And have you heard about my channel, Uzmaz Wellness Tips?
Yes, in the recent past,
Thank you.
maybe just in the
Thank
last
you.
couple of weeks, yes.
So thank God, I have, mashallah, subscribers and good views. So you will get all the good views, inshallah,
Hopefully.
after this. Hopefully,
Thank you.
after this interview, and then I think give me time for at least once a month. So because the immigration or family law or it is a huge topic we cannot discuss or you cannot answer in one interview, right?
That's true.
That's true. Okay, sir. We were talking about the spousal case.
Yes.
So how about somebody's married in Pakistan and they said, Uzma, I want to come to Canada. How? Is there any lady ready to get married with me? I said, but you have kids and everything. He said, don't worry, I'll give divorce, no problem. So do you think that's the right way, correct way? He said, I can make a paper, documentation, everything will be ready. You don't worry about it. Just tell me the way, how would I come fast? And how would I marry as soon as possible to come to Canada? Because I've heard that that's the fastest way to reach Canada and get the Canadian immigration to marry a woman who's Canadian, who's holding a Canadian citizenship. So what do you think? Is that right?
Right. So two things to say about that.
Yeah.
For a divorce that is conducted overseas, whether it's in Pakistan, India, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, in any African country, any Asian country, for that divorce to be accepted in Canada, it must meet two critical legal requirements.
Two requirements.
Right.
Okay.
The first requirement is that divorce must have complied with the laws of that particular country as regards divorce in that country. So if it's in Pakistan, Pakistan has laws regarding how you file a divorce, which court you go to, when it is granted, all of that. So the divorce must have, first of all, complied with all of the laws of that country regarding divorce. So by the time the divorce certificate is granted, it is genuinely issued and has gone through the legal requirements of that country. That's the first point.
Okay.
The second thing is that divorce from overseas must comply with Canadian law as well. So the requirement under Canadian law, they'll look at the fact that before these parties overseas divorced in Pakistan or India, before they divorced, did they live for at least 1 year within the jurisdiction or the district or the province or the state where this court that gave that order is located. So let's say, for example, your divorce is issued by, let's say, Islamabad High Court, or for that matter. Okay. So the question for the Canadian on the Canadian law side is: did you live around the Islamabad area or the state or the province or the district where that court has jurisdiction or power for at least 1 year prior to the filing of the divorce?
No. If somebody is living in Karachi, right, and they're married for 10 years, right, they have kids too.
Yes.
Now, he wants to divorce her, or she doesn't want to live with him, right? Any case would be. So he divorced, but do he has to send the document to Islamabad or just only in Karachi court or Karachi?
No, I just gave the example of Islamabad as an example. But if you live in Karachi, there's a high court in Karachi where you can file for divorce. So wherever there's a court,
wherever you're living,
wherever you're living, whatever
the court is there in that city.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that court has got the power to grant you the divorce. Okay. The question becomes: did you live in the area or the jurisdiction or the area where that court has power for at least a year before you filed the divorce? So you may have been living there for 10 years. Great. At least you met the minimum requirement. You might be living there for 20 years. Great. So these are and then also that there are no appeals. The divorce is final. There are no appeals. Okay. There are no liabilities. There's nothing outstanding in terms of how that procedure was conducted in that country. These are the two key requirements for that divorce to be accepted in Canada.
And what you said, talak, 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 it's...
Well, yeah, so I was just saying that you can't just wake up and say talak, 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 and then it's like, oh, that divorce is granted. No. It has to go through the actual compliance with the law of that country as to a proper, genuine divorce. Okay? Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is that you cannot divorce your wife because you want to come and marry a Canadian woman. Yeah. Okay? So, like I said earlier in the segment when we're talking about spousal sponsorship, remember, the visa officer will verify that this immigration to Canada or sponsorship is genuine. So, if you merely divorced because you wanted to marry a Canadian woman to get permanent residency, that could jeopardize your ability to actually obtain Canadian permanent residence because they may discover that your goal was not actually genuine. You simply wanted to marry this Canadian person, man or woman, because you wanted to come to live in Canada, not because you had genuine marital problems with your divorce. So you could divorce, but still not succeed in getting sponsorship. So that's something people have to be very careful. Everything has to be authentic and genuine. The divorce has to be genuine. The reason for the divorce has to be legitimate. The sponsorship and the relationship between the person being sponsored and the Canadian sponsoring person has to be legitimate and authentic and true.
Even if it is, they feel the officer, he said, no, it's not legit. So they might refuse it, right?
Yeah, there are instances where there's actually a very legitimate marriage relationship. Yeah. And still, because remember, the visa officers are also human beings. They make mistakes. They may misjudge. Yeah. They may be prejudicial in their thinking. They may actually be wrong because they're human beings. They're not perfect. Yeah. So there could be a genuine marriage in front of them, and they still, for whatever reason, they decide not to grant the visa.
Yes, sir. So you were talking about the application, spousal. Go ahead, please.
That's right. So the spousal sponsorship application is usually in two parts.
Okay.
In the sense that it's packaged together. During the filing, it's filed together, but it's in two parts. The first part of the application is where the spouse who's in Canada is filing to request the government of Canada to allow them to sponsor the spouse who's overseas. That's the first application. And then the second application attached to it is the application for permanent resident for the spouse who's overseas. So typically, those applications are filed together. Their documents as the spouse overseas will have signed and sent over to the spouse who's here. The spouse who's here puts it together.
Attach the marriage certificate and all the photos, movies, everything.
Yeah, well,
ceremony.
No, so you don't attach. There's only some evidence that they're required to attach. Not the videos, those they may ask for later, but primarily it's things like copies of the passports of the spouses, both the one filing and the one who's being sponsored overseas. Marriage certificate certainly. If it's in Arabic or it's in Urdu or Hindi translation, okay. Then birth certificates. National ID of the person overseas. They'll have also, done their police background check over there and all that. So, but the photographs and the videos, those you don't file the application with. You wait for those to be requested at a later stage. The other thing to note is that the spouse who's here in Canada must meet a certain level of income. Okay, so once they meet that income threshold, they're authorized to apply. Now, so the first part of the application is the approval for the spouse in Canada to be allowed to sponsor.
So, how he would know or she would know that it has been approved?
There's
acknowledgement they will send the Canadian.
Yes, certainly. So
immigration.
So the application is filed here. Depending on which province you are, there are locations and offices. You file in that office, and the first application they consider is the application to sponsor. They approve that if the sponsor meets the minimum requirement. And then they'll send a letter to the applicant's lawyer or the sponsor's lawyer or the sponsor directly if the sponsor is unrepresented, saying that your application to sponsor has now been approved.
Nice.
Okay? And that process typically takes between about a month to 2 months.
That's
now it might take a little bit longer post-COVID, in the COVID period, but pre-COVID...
Make it double, maybe 4 months.
Yeah,
months,
so let's say 2 to 4 months, right? Maybe less. Once that approval is given, then the second part of the application becomes a new file, an application for permanent residency, which is then sent to the Canadian visa office overseas in the country where the sponsored spouse lives. So if they're in Pakistan, it's going to be sent to Islamabad. If they're in India, it will be sent to Delhi, the Canadian mission there. And then that office will then contact the applicant who's overseas, the sponsored spouse, and then they'll complete the processes there, which namely are usually completing the background check with the police, and also the candidate attending a medical exam. If they already have attended the medical exam, those reports will already be with the Canadian mission. And then once the mission has all of the documents, they'll call that candidate for an interview at the mission.
Thank you so much, Mr. Julius Omware. Though it's not finished yet, because we need so many topics to discuss, but you have given in very short time a very good knowledge for all of us, whoever is watching or listening this video. And inshallah, very soon we're gonna have next video, and we'll continue this procedure, because my few friends, they ask me, Uzma, you are in Canada, why don't you tell us this and that, how we gonna come? We want to come to Canada. So who would be better than you, who could tell us the true story, the true things, what's going on in the immigration office, right? What is the right procedure, what to do, when they will receive the acknowledgement. So you are the best, and I came to you, and once again I'm very thankful to you and for your time. Please tell us your phone number to viewers and your office location, please.
So our office is located at, we have two locations. We have an office location at 147 Liberty Street, which is in downtown Toronto. And we also have an office in Mississauga, which is part of the Greater Toronto area, at 512 Bristol Road West. The best number to reach us at is 647-563-8250. That's 647-563-8250 with 1 at the beginning, which is the international code for Canada and the US.
Yeah, they know that. Nowadays, WhatsApp is there, too easy.
Absolutely.
Nothing to spend and just talk.
Absolutely.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. वीडियोस को लाइक करते हैं, शेयर करते हैं, और आप लोगों ने मुझे ये एडवाइस किया कि हमें डिफरेंट इंटरव्यूज करके भी बताइए, टिप्स भी हैं, अच्छी हैं. तो अभी हमने एक एस्ट्रोलॉजर कैसर इकबाल साहब का इंटरव्यू किया था, तो वो भी है, और अब आज ये हो रहा है. थैंक यू इमरान, यू हैव गिवन मी सो मेनी गुड आइडियाज. थैंक यू सो मच. अल्लाह हाफिज.